Hello and welcome back to Organic Cardboard. My name is Owen Kneep and today I am at Sean's house and we just got finished with our first game of Dwellings of Eldervale. So
this is your first non-solo game?
Well, yeah, first non-solo. Our first game. I had played this twice solo to learn the rules, get a feel for the game, figure out how I could beat Sean when I played Sean. And it paid off. But now, Dwellings of Eldervale has been out for a little bit now. It's been a really hard to get your hands-on game, not just because it's kind of expensive, but because they really I don't think they anticipated how much people like hyped this game up or liked it in general. So they had very limited print runs that they did. This is actually the third printing of the game.
Is it really?
Yeah, this is just the third printing. You had to pre-order it, and still sells out everywhere. As kind of funny the way they did it. But
this originally was on Kickstarter, wasn't it?
This was like back in like 2018 or something like that. I'm probably a little off on that time. But yeah, it's been out for a while, but hardly anybody's had their hands on it. But yeah, so with the third printing now done, I believe they're going to actually be kind of getting this rolling. I think now they know there's a lot of people that want it. I think with this next fourth printing that comes out, which they already had plans for, I think it's going to start finally like being readily available in retail. But I finally got my hands on it. I've been looking at it for a while, and really excited to finally get it on the table. And man, I've had a great time playing it solo so far, and then had even more fun actually playing it with somebody. So if you're not familiar with Dwellings of Eldervale, the game it's like a Euro worker placement tableau building game. Your tableau is basically just like, for the most part, is additional worker placement spots. You'll gain cards. You have a track that is very similar to Terra Mystica, the original Terra Mystica, where you have like a cult track and you would gain points at the end depending on like where you're at on the track. The track for this is based off of elements. You got 8 elements in the game. You'll always play with 2 elements more than the number of people. It goes up to 5 people, I believe it ends at 5. I don't have the box. I should have had the box real handy. In fact, would you mind grabbing me the top of it?
So yeah, 1 to 5 players.
Yeah, it does go to 5. And 14 and up, 30 minutes per player. If you're really banging it out, I mean, you could. I don't know. It's been a few. I don't know how few 3 hours that we played. Maybe
it's so hard to tell.
Yeah,
it was probably like 2 or 3 hours, but you were teaching me the whole time too. So
yeah. So with a quick the teach is pretty quick and easy. But anyways, I think we spent about 3 hours playing it. So what you're doing is you have these elemental areas on the board. You're trying to place buildings there. You're going up in this elemental track based off of the elements that are on the board, and gaining cards and things that are also pushing you up the track. And at the end, your track position is extremely important for your end game scoring. It increases how much all of your dwellings are worth. Your cards get scored just like your dwellings do as well. So it all kind of wraps up to be this big in-game scoring that happens. There is inside in-game scoring as well that goes on. You got magic cards that you're able to acquire and do some really like kind of game-breaking abilities with them. You got 6 basic worker types that you're using to build all your dwellings with. And then you have like some special types of workers that you can get. You've got a dragon and a wizard and kind of this warrior character. But you only have 1 of each of them. There are battles that ensue with the game. The battles are pretty simple. You're just rolling some dice. Whoever gets the highest roll, not total out of all your dice, but
highest single dice.
Yeah, highest
But they cancel
die.
each other out until the highest single dice is there.
Correct. Yeah. So you'll roll a handful of dice together, or maybe one die if you only got one worker in that space. And your one worker can always it always has a little dog in the fight. It can always potentially win if it gets a 6 and none of the other dice are 6s that the other person rolls. They will win. There's also monsters that are going to be kind of coming out on the board. And these guys kind of just cause impediments throughout the game. They're kind of hard to defeat. They're definitely defeatable. And they have a special effect that comes out with them, like this crocodile has a special movement that he does whenever somebody places on him. Normally, these monsters will kind of like just jump into your space whenever you move next to him. And his is he kind of leapfrogs over you, so he's kind of erratic. He's that's actually what his ability is called, is erratic. And all the other guys have all the other monsters have special abilities that sometimes affect the entire game state. So we played with the base set of monsters. There's a whole expansion called the Legendary Edition expansion that adds another set of 8 monsters, one for each of the elemental types. And I played those a lot when I was playing solo, and it seemed like a lot more of those do this like full board effect. So like when this monster is on the board anywhere, it has an effect for everybody everywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's a much more universal effect to it.
Yeah, it's kind of neat how those work, and a lot of times they're for your benefit. One of the neat ones is like the dark monster. Like anytime somebody is left in a ruined space at the end of their turn, they immediately go into the underworld. And the underworld is just a temporary death. All your people resurrect pretty easily. I guess you have a lot of necromantic powers or whatever it is.
But the more people that go over there, the less will be placed on your tableau to get you benefits later.
Yeah,
so.
Correct. Yeah. So the way like a round structure works is you would place a worker down. You get to take the effect of like whatever that tile is. A lot of them, especially as the game goes on, there's going to be a lot more of the elemental tiles. They'll have special little like treasure token that they can pick up. That's just like a resource that you'll use to spend for other things later. And then each person's going to go back and forth, placing their people out until they want to regroup. And when they regroup, they pull all their people back. And everybody that is left on the board that hasn't died that round will get to be placed on your tableau cards. So you'll have spots all over your especially as the game goes on, you'll have quite a few of these tableau cards usually. And then they can activate whatever that ability is. Some of them don't do worker placement activation. Some are like in-game scoring, or they give you some other special ability.
And you start with one card. I don't. They have a name for this. Your faction color card.
Yeah. Everybody starts with their elemental type card, so they have one movement up on the elemental track to begin with.
It just does basic things,
and they all do the same thing. Otherwise, yeah. They give you three. They give you 3 placement spots for your people to come back and do some basic actions that essentially emulate stuff that's already on the board. You've got 5 of these ruin tiles that are like worker placement spots that are going to allow you to do things like summon an extra worker from your like unsummoned pool to be ready for the rest of the game. You got ones that allow you to build your dwellings out, exchange resources, gain magic cards. There's another one that'll bring a new tile out and allow you to purchase those. I think they call them adventure cards. They're the really special cards that really kind of make the game unique. Every time you play it, you'll be able to do some really asymmetrical things once you start acquiring those. So that's really fun.
Yeah, the cards really made the game really interesting.
Yeah.
Like that kind of one thing I love in games like this. It's the same thing. Cthulhu Death May Die when it goes better than when we played it.
Right. Yeah. The game can go south quick, very quick.
What I love is kind of gradually getting more and more powerful, and the more of these things you lay down. See, at the end of the round, when you pull all of your dudes back, you get to place them all around these cards and stuff. And you can set this up in a way to where you can just get a whole lot of resources and do kind of interesting things.
Here's what I found.
Oh, thank you. Like
That's what Siri found. Yeah.
I had one that sort of had a gamble where I could like roll a dice, and if it didn't roll a 1 or a 2, which I rolled 2 the first 2 times I tried, but if you didn't roll a 1 or a 2, you could double up on what the card does and stuff. So
that was really cool, and that allowed Sean to get like buku resources. Usually the resources are tight on this game. It is what you'd call a Euro game, so yeah, tight. Like you're always like short on what you need, and it's a little. It's not that big of a struggle. It's not like as far as a Euro goes, this is probably one of the most accessible Euro games I think I've played. I would think so, right? Because like the turn, it's not. So most Euro games get really mentally taxing. You're really having to plan out what you're doing. You do have to plan out what you're doing on here, but it's a little more obvious.
But I think you have kind of less options than you do on like a Uwe Rosenberg game with like endless kind of options.
Yeah.
And what it seemed like is it used a lot of those mechanisms without delving deep into the complexity.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of it. The worker placement thing that's been done a lot of times, but it's a useful thing when it's limited in certain ways, and I thought they did a good job with that.
Yeah, it's fun. I didn't really know how this it almost looks like you're kind of adventuring around. You just see this game on surface level, but basically the land Eldervale is just a bunch of worker placement spots is what it kind of comes down to. That can be kind of blocked with other people. You can always like join in with fights against other people, but you have to kind of plan around how you can take those worker action spots to place your people.
You have to place adjacent with like your regular workers and stuff too, so you can't be stuck like out on the island over here.
Yeah, you have to bridge all those actions that you're getting to take off of your placements according to where your people are at. That's where some of those special guys come into play, like the wizard that he can teleport, so he can go anywhere on the board. Your dragon is really powerful in battles, and he can skip a hex, so he can jump a hex away from one of your other people. And then you have the warrior that can just jump immediately into a space with somebody else. If you have nobody on the board, there's some special placement rules. Won't go into too in depth on the rules, just that overview. But he's going to have the opportunity to be a little more aggressive than your other characters are. And like Sean was talking about, how you feel like you're getting more powerful from your cards. You also get more powerful with your presence on this board. So your dwellings will add to battle, add to your battle power, which just comes out to be an additional die rolls. But battle is you'll battle a lot in this game, and it's not that intimidating. I don't think.
I love how quick it is and how decisive it is.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like, outside of maybe some magic cards that you can throw down to add a little bit to your dice roll or get a 6 out of nowhere. There wasn't a lot of like mitigation, and there's no chart or anything like that. You're just
roll them and see what happens.
How many dice do you got? Who got the highest ones?
And at least once or twice we had a fun little thing where like somebody that was underpowered, I think it was probably your battles. We actually won very little battles in any of our games, because most of them were with the monsters. But yeah, like at least once or twice there, Sean was beating them with like half as many dice as the other roll was. So that's fun to see.
It gives it kind of a David and Goliath kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's really funny. It creates some funny situations, especially when you have like a single worker, which only contributes 1 die, and he's fighting 3, 4, 5 dice, and he ends up winning that battle. So that didn't happen on this game, but it did happen in my solo games.
You see, roll a 4, and then the dragon trips and falls and rolls all once.
Yeah, he just shot it right into that scale that was missing. But yeah, it's fun, and that's kind of what the game distills down to. Is it's just fun. It's a really that's the overwhelming sense I had from this game. Is I just had fun playing it. I said that before we scored anything. I was like, man, that was fun. That's a good game. Anytime you feel good when you come out of a game. You felt like it doesn't matter if you win or lose. You're like, I just had fun playing that.
Yeah,
That's what I
it's
feel
kind
on
of like
this.
a really nice, like when you eat a really nice meal and you're
Yeah.
done and you're like, oh, I'm
That-
full.
that was good.
I'm full of good
Yeah.
good gamingness.
Yeah, I'll have round 2, please. Yeah, I could do it again.
So what does this game go for?
Oh man, if you get all of the extra content for it, I'm not sure. I can't remember what I paid. Too much. I probably paid it was somewhere between $200 and $300, I think, and that's including getting. I got all the extra special bits.
It feels like a super premium. So
Yeah, even without any of the extra bits, the cardboard tokens look nice. I even think that I've got the wooden tokens for the resources. And I think that the cardboard tokens they don't feel as nice, but they look better. They have print on them. I'm not really sure why they skipped the print. I mean, I'm sure they just did it for price reasons, but they did print on like all your workers and your dragons and your wizard warriors. They have that screen printing on them, which it's simple, but it does make the meeple look a lot like it has a lot more presence.
it does kind of dress them up a little bit.
Yeah, and they neglected to do that on the wooden tokens, so that's like the only knock, I guess. I could knock the monsters a little bit. These monsters are they look fine on the board. They look like they're not like that high quality miniature, but they look like a game token. Like they have a presence on the board. Not too much detail. Some of them are a little more detailed than others, but some look a little bit like they were molded out of clay with your hand or something. Like the wing detail on this demon is a little soft, and there's several others that are kind of like that, but not bad. I'm just comparing them, I guess, to some of the like actual miniatures games that I've played that go kind of hardcore on the details.
It's a little nicer than maybe a giant wooden version or
absolutely.
something like that.
Yeah, and definitely nicer than the standees that come with the.
And they put a nice wash on it. Do they all come with that wash? That's not something extra.
I think that's just comes with it. So it is nice that they at least dressed up what detail they did have by putting a little black on them. I think they very cruddy if they didn't have any wash on them.
It's kind of like unmatched level of a wash. The smaller ones seem a little bit better.
I was about to say, yeah, there's 2 mercenaries that you can get for the game. These are extras now to add those in. And they do look like they have a little more detail, maybe just because they're smaller and they felt like they had to put some more detail on them. But they're not bad. They're not bad. They serve their purpose. And the game kind of does this to you too, where you get that base set, and they have all the space. They have nice game tray inserts. That's one of the big pros to the production of the game. But they put little spots for all the stuff you're missing from all the upgrades, so you really feel like you're getting kind of pushed.
So no matter which,
it's good to have the spaces, but yeah.
So no matter which version of the game you buy, you still get the same big box.
I believe so.
And then there's just spacers in there for the stuff you don't have.
So you have like a whole game tray thing to hold all the miniatures with, and if you don't have those miniatures, they give you a box that says this is the space where those go, and it has all the pretty pictures and stuff on it, trying to entice you to go out and.
You probably could get like $151 bills and put them there.
Yeah, you could save them up, put all your allowance money in the cardboard box, and wait.
They'll never find it here.
Yeah, but yeah, the game tray inserts that they give for each of the players are really nice. These are pretty empty right now because I have all my pieces on the board. Sean's going to grab one of the full ones. Those are really nice. The card holders themselves too will pack away with all the tokens and things that they require, and those are just exceptional quality, just like any of the game trays that you would expect.
So it'd be like, would you like to be purple? There's all your stuff.
Yeah. So they all have your player board.
Like it's the lid.
It's the lid, yeah. Which can get a little dinged up putting it in and out of that plastic because these are cardboard. But they're really nice, and they have a faction on both sides. So you've got one for each of the different elements that are in the game, and then you have 2 sides to each one. So you've got a total of 16 different asymmetric different kinds of factions that you can use, which are neat. They don't go too crazy with the asymmetry. They just have like 2 of the workers will have a special ability, but it does break the game in some way or another to benefit your faction. And the art on them is really cool too. They definitely give you that vibe, like these are your people. I'm the Pirates of Nightmare Cove. So that's who I was. There's Atlanteans on the back of them. Sean.
It's really very colorful.
Mm-hmm.
I love the artwork on it. I love that each one of these has a dragon. I really like dragons.
Yeah. Dragons always add something in the game. Each one of your player boards too has like their picture of their dragon somewhere, and it's all unique. Yeah, art's really nice. The board itself, because you're playing elements, most of the elements are really colorful. You got real bright, vivid purples and reds and blues. You got all the fire, earth, wind, water, and then you got the chaos and the order and the night and the darkness and the light, I guess. So, and it plays out in a neat way where each of the cards that you get from the adventure piles from those particular elements have a lot of theme that goes along with that, whatever it's supposed to be. Sean was mentioning he had the card that attached to one of his other cards, and it was from the chaotic deck, and it is chaotic. It's an aura card that attaches to his other card, and then that's why it's chaotic, because he rolls a die, and if it's one of the low rolls, he gets no effect for it, but if he gets the high roll, he gets to double what he gets to do, which allowed him to just go crazy resource heavy in the game, which luckily wasn't early in the game.
Yeah, I know.
For me.
It happened like maybe one round too late.
Yeah. But yeah, really neat, really well produced. I don't know if there's...
and for a game of this level, pulling it out to we've made a video on my channel where we're talking about games that we love that are difficult to table, and this is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Very easy to table. The setup for this is pretty minimal. Mm-hmm. It's got all these trays kind of pre-done, so you can just kind of pull them out and set them down right out of the box.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It looks like it's a much more complicated game out on the table too than it really is. But again, very accessible. Everything packs away really nice.
Kind of minimal plastic too, if you think about like this. They've just got the little.
Oh, we didn't even mention the
lids.
that's one of the features of this game that nobody's done before. Is so your workers, they're just basic meeples with printing on them, and when you turn them into a dwelling, which is one of the end-game scoring conditions, you want to get 6 of your dwellings out. You just put a little hat on them that turns them into a house. So it's like a roof with a little chimney. Looks cute, and
like a little Baba Yaga thing going on.
For some reason, it just feels good to turn your people into houses. I don't know why, but it looks neat.
It does. It works.
It was a very unique way for them to. They could have just put houses out and say get rid of that worker and swap it out, but instead they opted for something cool and unique, and so that's neat. So, Dwellings of Eldervale. You are just trying to put your presence out on the board as much as possible, and make yourself known that you are the Lord of Eldervale, and as you have all of your dwellings out and your power, your magical power, and all these elements skyrockets, then you have claimed and certified yourself as the ruler. And
so
it's fun.
What I thought was interesting too is that you get one last round after the win condition has been triggered. Mm-hmm. And then it's another one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, what can I do at the last minute to get as many points as possible? I was sitting there, I had a card that was like going to give me extra points for every magic card that I played, and you can just keep playing them. So I was like, I'll do that, and this one lets me draw 3 more, and I'll do that.
Yeah, magic cards get really powerful in the game. They're kind of like resource intensive to go after, because that means you're not getting to do other actions. You're spending the resources you need for other things, but man, they can really break the game in a good way for you. And it's fun if you've got a handful of them at the end, and the other person doesn't know that those are all in-game scoring cards, and then you get to kind of surprise them with that at the end. So that's you never really know, like, unless you're hardcore keeping up with the points, you never really know where you're standing with the points. Kind of like Scythe kind of does that. It's like you don't really know your points until the very end, and then you just see what happens.
You sort of get a sense of it because you get some points as the game goes on, but you know that at the end that it'd be really hard to sit and do the math on all the cards and stuff.
Yeah, I think
probably not if you're like super competitive and maybe really great at math. Yeah, if you're kind of tired like me, you're just kind of like, just find out later.
Yeah. I don't remember how many points you added at the end to your inside game scoring points, but I had 100 points at the end after adding everything together. So it you never really know where you're at on that track. You just want to be kind of trying to keep pace with people, keep pace with the game, keep pace with the dwellings that you're putting out, and the adventure cards that you're getting, because those are your main scoring conditions, are dwellings and cards.
Yeah, I was about 30 points behind, and I think that you had 3 more settlements than me, and then a really cool card at the end that were all of them pointed that were next to each other.
Me like an extra 10 points.
Yeah. So that was the extra 30 right there.
It bumped up. Yeah, it bumped up pretty quick, and your element track, again, with the ease of this game, it's not like too difficult to figure out how your element track is going to just immediately kind of boost up. It boosts up with your dwellings. It boosts up with the cards that you get. It's not like Terra Mystica where you really have to game out how you're going to be able to get up that track and have to really hurt yourself to get up the track. It just kind of comes along with it. So really neat, really well done. Do you have anything else to say about it?
No, I thought it was a lot of fun. If you're lucky enough, like me, to just have a friend that bought it, it's all the better.
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm anxious to try it again. I'd like to play it again. I'm wondering what it's like with like a whole bunch of people really crowding up the place. Now you add more tiles and stuff, right? So
I'm sure it gets
it's a bigger play area too, right?
Yeah.
Does it start off the same, or is it?
It will be bigger to start off with, and I have seen people play this at the board game meetup that we tend to go to, and they did play with the full 5, and they were playing it all night too. So
really?
That was probably with a teach. Those people that hadn't played before, and then there's some instances of a little, not too much AP in this game. There's some instances where you can get a slightly more AP with it, but teaching new people, everybody's taking an action. You're having to wait till it goes all the way around the board for you. And a lot of your actions are based off of what other people are doing, so it's a little hard to plan out ahead until it's right before your turn or right at your turn. So there is that. It's gonna definitely increase the time pretty quickly. I feel like it plays really nice at 2.
Yeah.
I don't know how much better or worse it's going to start being, mostly for time's sake, as you start adding more people in. But on a 2-player game, it's an extremely modular game. Not only just making it smaller for a 2-player game, but also all the different. There's like a handful of expansions that are kind of like mini expansions that you can add into the game. There's like a dragon you can kind of go after. There's this giant. There's at least 1 or 2 other things that you can throw.
Are they different whole game modes?
Yeah, there's an oracle card you can throw in that gives you some extra. They even specifically say that it increases the length of the game. When you're playing a 4 to 5 player game, you have a second dungeon. That's so that people can't so enough people can grab adventure cards, because that's where all your adventure cards are coming from. So there's a lot of ways to modify it to different player counts. But I would be very happy to just continue playing this at 2 or maybe 3. Any more than that, I feel like it's probably, again, I'm just speaking out of intuition here, it's probably going to end up being a little long playing with like 4 or 5 people. But 4 might be better because you got the 1 extra dungeon tile, but 5 is that and all that extra. So who knows? I would imagine Board Game Geek's got it written down on what everybody's consensus is on the best. But I've been very happy.
Super fun too.
Yeah, very happy playing it too. Very happy playing it solo too. The solo is definitely a much more battle-intensive game, but still really fun, and you can still get pretty much all the same enjoyment. In fact, I don't know. It's always nice to have another person to play with. Of course,
is it an automa deck?
It is, yeah, and it's an automa deck where the solo opponent will roll a die to show what they're doing. You can see what they have available. They've got 3 different options, and 3 of their die rolls are going to go to one card, 2 of their die rolls are going to go to the other card, and one's going to go to the last card. So you know what's most likely going to happen, but you never know for certain. So there's some little surprises that happen and things like that, and you're always and they get to cheat like crazy. The solo opponent gets to cheat like crazy to make up for the fact that they have no brain, which makes sense. But it's still really fun. You're still going to get essentially the same enjoyment out of the game playing solo as you would with other people.
I think my wife would like this.
Yeah.
It's so colorful and stuff, and the characters are not so unrelatable, I guess. Like they're all kind of they kind of fit into those fantasy tropes and stuff. Yeah. It's got really pretty coins too.
Oh yeah. That is one thing to mention. I actually just got my deluxe components in today. I did have to order those separate from the pre-order because I don't even think they were selling these in the third. I think they were trying to help promote you buying stuff in retail and help the retailers to want to purchase their stuff to sell. So they were holding off with the deluxe set that gave you the miniatures for the base game and gave you some nice extra components. But yeah, I did mention that these coins are one of the nicer coins that I've had. They got a good weight to them, pretty print. They've got little symbols for all the elements. And a little house on the back for the dwellings because it's the Dwellings of Eldervale, and of course
the dragon.
Yeah, of course the dragon on the back side. So they're pretty. They look nice. But I think that's about all we got to say for this game.
That's good.
Really enjoy it. If I had to rate it, I'd give this an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's extremely solid game. Definitely wanting to play it more, and will be playing it more, whether it's by myself or with other people. So I'm sure I'll get this out at the board game club before too long.
I give it 30 penguins.
30 penguins. That's a good amount of penguins. I don't know what you're gonna do with all those penguins.
Whatever you want, really.
Put them in your apartment. Jim Carrey it. All right. Well, anyways, guys, thank you so much for stopping by, listening to us ramble on about how much we enjoyed the Dwellings of Eldervale. If you enjoy this kind of content, a couple of those free clicks on the screen really help support out channels like mine and like Sean's. So really can't thank you enough when you do. But as always, do what is right for you. And until next time, guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Take care. I'll see you on the next video.
Bye.
Bye-bye.